Okay. And just check this one more time and make sure that's all set. That looks good. And then close that. Save your title image .jsp. And then let's create the dialog boxes that will let the author actually enter in some content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click here and I'm going to say new dialog. And I'll just call this dialog. As you see here, we're not going to create a design dialog. We're just going to create a regular dialog. Choose finish. And then scroll down here to items. Okay, and locate your tab 1 node. There's your tab 1 node. And under tab 1, let's just create a new node. And let's call this items, just as we did before. And let's call this a CQ widget collection. Okay, so that's under tab 1. So there's our CQ widget collection. And then underneath this, let's create another node, which is going to be of type CQ widget. Okay, and this is again what the author is going to be able to enter in. And let's call it title. So click finish there. Now you should see there's a title widget. And then let's add the following properties here. So I'm just going to say new property. And the first one I'm going to create is simply called name. And what we're going to do is we're going to store this under ./JCR:title, as you see there. Okay, and then we'll create another one to define our text field, which is where the user is going to enter in that information. So I'll say new property. Okay, and I will say this is, of course, X type. And we'll simply say text field here. Okay, perfect. And then I'll refresh this, make sure my variables are being there. And then I'm also going to just define a label. So I'll say field label, and I'll simply just say title, as you see here. So go ahead, click finish. Okay. And now under the items widget collection, let's create another node. So again, I'll say new node. We're going to call this type, and this is also going to be of type CQ widget. Okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to create a combo box here. So again, we're going to define that here. So let's do on the type node that you just created, just simply say new property. Okay, and let's call it name. And we're going to store it in ./type. And then we'll create an X type, and we'll create a selection box in this case. So again, I'll say new property. I'll say X type. And then we're going to make this a selection. And again, that's going to be a string. Okay, perfect. Refresh and make sure this looks all good, which it does. Okay, again, I'm going to say new property. And then I'm going to define what type of selection wizard that I want. So I'll say, again, name is equal to type, and the value is select. Perfect. And then I'm going to say new property again. And I'm going to say field label, and this is what's going to appear on the field label. So I'm going to say type/size. And then I'm going to create a node underneath the type widget that I just created. So I'll say new node. I'm going to call this options. And this is going to be a CQ widget collection. Now, this may seem like a lot of work, but it's a lot easier than having to write all that JavaScript ourselves, that's for sure. Because again, this is just building out dialog boxes for the author. So there's my options. And then underneath the options, I'm going to create another node. And I'm going to call this large. And this will be what's displayed in the selection box. And this is just going to be of type NT unstructured. So I'm going to say NT unstructured. I'm going to click finish. And then I'm going to add the following properties to the large node. So I'm going to say add property. We'll call it text. So we'll have the word large display. Okay, and then we're going to again define the widget type. So I'll say add property. And let's call this value. This is also going to be a string. And then I'll say large here as well. And then I'll just do the same thing, but for small. So I'll say new node, small, and this is going to be of NT type unstructured. And then on the small node, I'm going to add the following properties here. Create a text property here. This is a string. Small will be the value. And then I'm going to create another property that will be the value. And then the value will also be small, as you see there. So you should see that your structure looks like this. You have, again, your title image component, as we see up here, right? Then you have a dialog, you have items, tab 1, items, you have title and type, and then underneath type you have options, large and small, and then of course you should have your Java file, your title.png Java, and then also your title image there as well.